Hello folks, this is Alan firing off another Throne of Eldraine um, best out of one comprehensive draft video, so let's begin. Alright, pack one, pick one was a rare. Pretty decent card. Castle Lock Dwayne isn't bad, but it isn't super amazing either. It's a pretty nice card in the late game if you are low on cards, of course, and you will want to potentially just draw a card, and it can be a decent way to kind of find value in the late game. But you really don't want to cast this early since you're going to lose a ton of life. So yeah, it's a pretty nice land if you're kind of already in the black colors and you just need some way to draw an extra card in the late game. Nothing too exciting or incredibly amazing, but I still think it's a decent card overall. Looking at the uncommons, what do we have? We have Mad Ratter for the blue-red payoff card. Pretty solid, pretty powerful. If you're in blue-red, draw two. There's Edgewall Innkeeper, which is excellent in pretty much every green deck. Does excel the most at a white-green adventures deck, since that's where you're going to find most of your adventures playables. But if you compare this with any color, for the most part, you should find enough adventure creatures, even in green, even in black, even in red, even in blue. I mean, blue doesn't have that many adventure creatures, to be honest, but the rest of the colors tend to provide a lot of them. And then if you pick this early, this can be a nice value engine, since it's just going to draw you a ton of cards every single time you play an adventure. So definitely a powerful uncommon. It's close to in power level to something like Sir Comrade or Keeper of Fables. That's a pack one, pick one. There's Drownalock as a blue-black mill payoff card. If you end up in the archetype, this can be a nice counter spell / removal spell. Looking at the commons, which ones stand out? There's Trapped in Tower as a good removal spell overall in white. It can't deal with flyers, so that's the only problem. But other than that, sometimes you just need to lock down a big creature, and Trapped in the Tower just gets it done. Of course. What else is there? There's Scorching Dragonfire as a good removal spell at instant speed. So really, it's just between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards here. I don't think I want to start out with a multicolor card, since you never know what color you're going to be, and these double color cards aren't so broken that I need to take them early on. If it was something like a Garruk, or a maybe an Improbable Alliance, or maybe Oko, then I would take the dual color card. But these cards are good, but they're not like so broken that I need to take a 2-color card over it when I can just stick with 1 color. I think Edgewall Innkeeper beats Castle Lock Dwayne, even though there's a bit of a build around. Now just between Edgewall, Trapped in Tower, and Scorching Dragonfire. Between Trapped in Tower and Scorching Dragonfire, they're both close, but I would maybe just take the Scorching Fire, simply because instant speed removal is sometimes a lot more important in limited than a sorcery speed removal spell. However, this can deal with big giant ground creatures, which Scorching Dragonfire usually can't. But in this set, there tends to be a lot of small creatures, and sometimes it's just nice to just exile them. And plus, if they use up a pump trick or something, you can kind of ambush them with the Scorching Dragonfire, giving you a nice 2-for-1. So between these 3 cards, I think I'm leaning Edgewall Innkeeper. It's not a removal spell, but already, if you manage to build around it, it can be more than a 2-for-1, i.e. you can just sometimes you're just going to get a lot more card value out of this by drawing a bunch of cards, and that beats a removal spell. That's usually a 1-for-1 at the very least. Edgewall Innkeeper can just, again, maybe can draw you 4 cards in the entire game, 3 cards, 5 cards, whatnot. But the fact that it's just constantly replacing adventure creatures that you're playing is just very broken and powerful. And again, it just beats a solid single removal spell. So I think I wouldn't mind starting a draft with an Edgewall Innkeeper, just a very powerful uncommon, and we can kind of incentivize adventure creatures from there on. So let's take it. Right, after this Edgewall Innkeeper, what do we have? We have Red Cat Melee as a good removal spell in red. Gets kind of bad in multiples for the very least, but it's a very good card, don't get me wrong. It gets bad multiples because usually in the red deck you want to play very few lands, maybe like 16 for the most, and play like a very aggressive deck with lots of 1, 2, and 3 drops. And then if you, let's just say you're kind of mana screwed, sometimes sacrificing land can be a bit of a detriment, and if you have multiple copies, it makes you more likely to draw them in the early game, and you might just end up mana screwing yourself. But overall, a pretty strong card. I wouldn't mind a single copy, or maybe one or two in a red deck, but it does get worse in multiples, just so to speak. There's Trail of Crumbs if we want to lean towards a blue-black food stack, a green-black food stack, which is a very powerful card. Of course, when you're looking at this card, you're thinking black-green, since black-green is usually the color combination, which is looking to get the food payoffs, and they're the ones that are generating the most food out of the other two color combinations. By the way, it's a solid card. 2 mana, sacrifice a food, pay 1 colorless, and then you basically draw an extra card for the turn. Pretty powerful. Inspiring Veterans, excellent for the red-white Knights deck. Looking at the commons, everything is pretty much okay. I don't think any of these cards really stand out. Maybe like Fairy Guide Mother just has a nice creature you want to play an aggressive white deck. But overall, it's just between the 3 uncommons. I don't think it's the Inspiring Veteran, given that we have 2 cards that can basically pair well with the Edgewall Innkeeper. If we do take Red Cap Melee, it is a lot more flexible than, say, Trail of Crumbs, and red could be a lot more open than green, at the very least. Either way, Red Cap Melee can set us up for a decent red-green adventure, not a red-green adventures, it's red-green non-humans deck. However, Edgewall Innkeeper is a human, so it is a bit of a nombo if you want to play those early aggressive 1-drops that gets pumped whenever you have a non-human creature. And red-green is definitely one of those hyper-aggressive decks. You can play mid-range variant, but it's much more preferred that you play like a very low land count, being 16, and then lots of small early aggressive creatures. Red Cap Melee does keep us flexible, but I think I'm digging this Trail of Crumbs. Even though it does kind of commit us into 2 colors right away, I think the value of this and the power level is a lot higher than Red Cap Melee overall. Again, sometimes just drawing more cards can just beat having a single 1-for-1 as a removal spell, that being Red Cap Melee. It is a bit of a risk, of course, that we're taking a much more narrow pick, but if we do end up in black-green, the power level would be a lot higher if we take this Trail of Crumbs. Red Cap Melee is good. It keeps us open in case red is open, but I don't know, I am really just digging this Trail of Crumbs, and this keeps us in green with the Edgewall Innkeeper. Let's just say we don't end up in green-black. We do miss out on a Red Cap Melee, but we could be like green-white, green-blue, pretty much any combination of colors at this point. Yeah, red keeps us flexible, but I think I like this Trail of Crumbs. I mean, I could just take the Red Cap, actually. Yeah, let's just say green isn't open, and this Red Cap Melee can at least kind of give us a second color to move towards. But I would miss out on a Trail of Crumbs, which is, again, a lot more powerful if we do end up in those 2 color combinations. And provides us a lot more value. So, yeah, it's a bit of a gamble between these 2. I don't think there's any wrong pick between these 2, but I think I would lean towards the Trail of Crumbs just because it just has a lot more value than a single target removal spell if we do end up in black-green. So we might miss on a red card. So be it. This is draft. Sometimes this is random. What you open is just random, so you can't really beat the RNG sometimes. Alright, and looking at this pack, Sage of the Falls is okay. If you want to end up in blue-green non-humans, there's Giant Opportunity that makes 1,000,000 food, but not particularly an amazing card. Bunch of okay white cards, like there's a Silver Flame Squire as an adventure for Edgewall Innkeeper. There's no real best card in this pack. I mean, like, if you are already in a Decade Knights deck, then Brimstone Trebuchet is an above average card. If you are in like a Black Knights deck, then Barrel Witches works well. If you're in blue-red, Sage of the Falls is pretty decent. Given that we picked up Trail of Crumbs, I might just be leaning towards this Golden Egg. It might seem strange taking the Golden Egg over the Giant Opportunity, but Golden Egg can help us splash and fix our mana. It also cantrips and draws us the card the moment it comes into play. Giant Opportunity can be a nice sideboard card in a green food deck if you're kind of lacking the food, of course. I mean, the 7/7 part is a little bit hard to do. unless you really have a million food going on, and it can be a fine play. But really, when I'm looking at Giant Opportunity, I just want to really just create 3 food tokens to help me stabilize, gain life, sacrifice for the Trail of Crumbs. I think Golden Egg is just solid overall. It's just 1 egg food, sure, but you don't really have to pay 3 mana for it. It also just cantrips and digs you deeper into your deck, also fix your mana. So I don't mind taking a Golden Egg, follow up with the Trail of Crumbs. I think it's a pretty solid choice. Let's see. I mean, we could still be in green red, of course, and we might miss out. I mean, the most flexible option would probably just be Scalding Cauldron, I guess. But it's just an okay removal spell at the end of the day that you might play in a deck. But I mean, yeah, it's high risk, high reward sometimes. Just kind of commit yourself to 2 colors right away and take the Golden Egg. Otherwise, Scalding Cauldron is also recent. Scalding Cauldron is also a reasonable pick, but this pack is really not too exciting for us, so don't mind just taking Golden Egg here. And we might even get paid off if Black Green is open. Yep, and it seems that maybe Black is open since I'm seeing a Reef Soul in this pack. Other good cards, there's Joust if you're ready in Dedicate Knight's deck. There is Clockwork Servant, which is good in the late game, believe it or not. I mean, it's better to play this exactly on turn 3 with the 3 colors open, but even then in the late game, let's just say cast this on 6 or 5, it's still a fine body, and the fact that it cycles itself, it draws a card is pretty decent. Some pretty decent adventure cards too, like Fairy Guidemother, Lonesome Unicorn, and another Cauldron, but seeing a Reef Soul late in this pack implies that maybe green-black is open. Given that we have Trail of Crumbs and a Golden Egg, it seems that we're leaning towards that archetype. So yeah, let's just take the Reef Soul. And looking at this pack, nothing too amazing. Shine Chaser is okay. I mean, it's better. It's gonna have its highest upsides in the blue-white deck with lots of artifacts and enchantments, and this can be a decent flyer. There's nothing too good in this pack, to be honest. The best card in this pack is Joust. I mean, I guess we take it just in case we do end up like green-red in some strange situation. Otherwise, we're taking Garenbrick Squire. I mean, Garenbrick Squire can be okay too, like in the Adventures deck if we do end up in green-white, since it's looking to be in a deck of lots of creatures, and making this into a 3/3 attacker can be really nice, especially if you're being aggressive. It's not going to make sense in a black-green deck for the most part, since it's not going to get its highest payoff, but given that we have Edgewall Innkeeper and like the Adventures deck does better in like white-green, I don't mind just taking Garenbrick Squire, just speculate on it, keeping up some 1 card. Okay, and there's a Sorcerer's Broom and a Curious Pair. Sorcerer's Broom is pretty powerful in the late game in a black-green foods deck, since you can just make multiple copies off of this. There's Flutterfox, which is a good 2-drop. One of my favorites in this set, since it can easily gain flying and you can start clocking the opponent in the early game with this. Curious Pair would also be excellent, just as a nice food enabler, and then also a 1/3 body which pairs well with the Edgewall Innkeeper. So, I mean, I think this pack is just between these two. Sorcerer's Broom is a much more unique card that you can do in the late game that to make multiple copies, but it does take a while to set up. Especially if you're looking to play like a slow grindy deck like a black-green, of course. Yeah, it does take time to set up. It's not in the early game; it can still be a fine card to trade off, but really, it's gonna just be a 2/2 for the most part, from my experience. But usually, sometimes you do get multiple copies. But I think the card that makes more sense is just a Curious Pair. To be honest, it's a lot less risky than the Sorcerer's Broom, but it can make us a food for the Trail of Crumbs, for any other unique synergies, and it's also an adventure that goes all well with Innkeeper, which we currently don't have any. So yeah, I think I'm leaning towards a Curious Pair since it kind of makes sense with what we currently have. Right, I think I just might as well take a Giant Opportunity here, just for food synergies, might as well. Otherwise, the Flutterfox in case we move into green-white. But given that we have Curious Pair, Reef Soul, and Trail of Crumbs, those cards don't particularly play well in green-white. I mean, there's Wildwood Tracker, but Wildwood Tracker is only best in like red-green with lots of early aggressive creatures. Black-green is not looking to be hyper-aggressive. We're looking to be more mid-rangey, just trying to stabilize the early game, and then use our food payoff and giant creatures to pretty much close out. And Wildwood Tracker isn't going to do its best, given that we have all these human creatures, so don't mind a Giant Opportunity. Perhaps we just need more food in our deck, and this can be really nice. Here, I think Wolf Quartz is a pretty bad card, even the black-green deck. Don't know if I think I'd rather have the Gingerbread Cabin over the Witch's Cottage. I mean, there's a slight chance we end up in green-red or green-white. I think our deck would pair most best right now with green-white over green-red, even though we did pass up a couple of joust. Most of our creatures are humans, and there's the food. Its food synergy can still be fine in green-white, while in green-red we don't. We're just looking to be hyper aggro, so maybe just take an outflank. Alright, Tempting Witch is excellent. There's also a Marrowleaf Rider, which is a good 2-drop for the black-green foods deck. Marrowleaf Rider is a fine payoff card for food. Sometimes you just need a way to trade off for an opponent's creature, and then you can sacrifice the food and get Marrowleaf Rider to attack. That being said, we are kind of lacking 3-drops as of right now. I mean, don't even know if I'm going to play this Giant Opportunity. We do have 3 2-drops here. We could use like a Tempting Witch to just kind of give us food, to be honest. Like, again, black-green isn't looking to be hyper-aggressive. Marrowleaf Rider can be a fine card to trade off in the early game, of course, but you know, we're not looking to be on a beatdown. Like, Tempting Witch has kind of like the low power, high toughness creature that can give us block and also creates a food. That seems pretty nice, so I think I'm leaning towards the Tempting Witch here, just to kind of sure up that we're more of the mid-rangey, control-ish black-blue deck, black-green deck. Insatiable Appetite in case we need a trick. Won't mind Ginger Brew. Not the best in black-green, but still food nonetheless. Ginger Brew is, believe it or not, better off in a much more hyper-aggressive aggro deck, like a Knight's deck, for example, or anything playing white. It's a good creature in red-green non-human, since you can equip the Rosethorn Halberd onto this, give it unblockable, and start clocking the opponent. And it's good with all that glitters. Black-green, it's not looking to be hyper-aggressive again, but it can still be an okay food. I mean, I guess I can take it. It looks like we're kind of committed to black-green foods, given our first few picks. I don't think I want to move into white-green adventures at this point. Like, I didn't see too many amazing white-green cards. There were some white being passed up. There was definitely some interesting Joust red cards being passed up, but I think black-green is the way to be, since we have a solid deck already. So maybe Ginger Brew makes it. None of these cards I particularly care about. Yeah, I guess we might as well take a Witch's card. It's pretty late Shine Chaser. From my experience, I haven't drafted enough white-blue, but it seems very fun. It seems like a very fun archetype. It looks to be quite aggressive, with the Flyers theme going on, but I haven't seen much of it being drafted at the tables, nor have I drafted it myself, but I would love to do it one day. I think it's really fun with like Ardenvale Tacticians and then bounce tricks and whatnot. But yeah, the problem is that blue seems to be a much more controlling color, so it kind of interferes a bit with the a white in a sense, since white is looking to be aggressive. I mean, you can have a balance of both, but usually when you're going white-blue, you really want to be an aggressive deck for the most part, since most of the cards, the white-blue payoff, artifact, enchantment cards are like trying to signal that it's an aggressive color combination, but I guess I won't take it anyways here. Alright, so looking at this pack, a pretty okay start to a black-green foods deck. Hopefully we pick up more black playables. There was a little bit of a late Reef Soul, so black looks slightly open. Bar than that, it's a pretty solid start, so let's move on. And what do we pick up? A rare, pretty good card, Worthy Knight, if you can kind of build around it. It's a nice pack one, pick one. Kind of commits you to Knight's archetype right away, but if you can build around it and, you know, play a couple of Knights, the value of this card's pretty high. So it's a pretty good card. There's Order Midnight, which is excellent. Seems good with our deck. It's a nice aggressive creature for any black deck. It also good for any black controlling deck, since you can basically return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, so it has a nice value synergy as well, but it's an overall powerful card, solid card. What else is there for us? There's a Searing Barrage, which is a good removal spell at 5. There's Fierce Witchstalker, which can be a nice 4-drop for us. It also creates a food when it enters the battlefield. So, I mean, it's just between these two cards, to be honest. Order Midnight is a good card, don't get me wrong. Like, the 2/2 aggressive body is really solid in a Knight's deck, but again, we aren't looking to be aggressive. The ability is also nice, too, since it can kind of fetch a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. But I think in Black-Green, we should have enough, like, Once in Futures and Forever Youngs that we don't care about the recursion too much. I think the Fierce Witch Stalker just kind of makes sense. It generates us a food, is a nice 4/4 body with trample and good toughness levels. In the pack one pick one scenario, it would be close between Worthy Knight and Order Midnight. I think these two are kind of close. Order Midnight fits well in any black deck. Worthy Knight's a build around, but there's a lot more higher potential if you can pull it off. And, I mean, either you're the more flexible player who just wants to take a solid all-around good card that doesn't require too much commitment, or you are a lot more adventurous and you take the more high-risk, high-reward approach, which gains you a lot more value, that being the Worthy Knights. I'm more of the latter player. I like to go high-risk, high-reward, but in some scenarios, it will be really hard to decide between Order and Worthy. But pack one, pick one, probably go for Worthy Knight and see what I can do. But for now, Fierce Witch Stalker makes sense. Alright, happy to see a Beanstalk Giant. Bella Brawl is also okay, but again, Black-Green is not being too aggressive, and we aren't trying to prioritize Knights. This would be an excellent follow-up to the Youthful Knight, no doubt, since it's also a Knight and kind of leans and benefits from that type of deck overall. But can't pass up a Beanstalker Giant. Nice way to ramp, nice way to splash for color, and then the late game it can be a pretty huge threat that the opponent needs to find an answer for. Other fine cards, Spinning Wheel would be fine. Another Tempting Witch would be okay. Giant Skewer, but the best card in this pack is like Bella Brawl, Beanstalk Giant, and like Flutter Fox. But I like the Beanstalk Giant here, so let's take it. Alright, there's a Cauldron Familiar, which if you get the Witch's Cauldron combo, it's definitely worth it. It can be a pretty good card, but overall, if you don't have enough food, it doesn't really do that much, to be honest. I mean, it's great if you have some way to infinitely gain foods, like a Gilded Goose, for example, in the Witch's Oven. But if you just have like temporary ways to gain food, all you're going to do is basically return a 1/1 on the battlefield and drain your opponent by a little bit, which I don't think is too amazing. If, for example, I have Gilded Goose and the Witch's Oven, this would be a pretty good card. But other than that, I don't know if it's worth taking here. Like we have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 food generators. I mean, I guess it can drain the opponent a bit. I don't mind playing this, to be honest. But again, we're not trying to be hyper aggressive at the end of the day. There's Rampart Smasher, which is excellent. If we want to go heavy green, we can make this happen. We do have like Golden Egg and Beanstalk Giant that can kind of fix our mana for it, in a sense. But you really want to just cast this on turn 4 for the most part, and make sure that that you can start clocking the opponents. Otherwise, like on turn 7, it's pretty much just another late game Curve Topper, which isn't too amazing. There's Wicked Guardian, which I'm a big fan of in Black-Green, since the creatures tend to have high toughness, and this can be a nice 2-for-1 that replaces itself. So pretty good card if you have a lot of high toughness creatures. The other cards are fine. Wouldn't mind Gingerbread Cabin. Halbert's not all that amazing Black-Green, but you can make it work. Garenbreak Carver is just a pump spell. So it's really between Wicked Guardian, Cauldron Familiar, and Rampart Smasher. Again, it's always, do you want to take the more riskier adventurous pick, being Cauldron, or do you want to take the more safer pick, being Wicked Guardian, which is as good by itself in our deck? And I think I'm leaning towards Wicked Guardian, because it's just a nice 2-for-1 at 4 mana, especially in Black-Green, since you tend to play lots of 3 toughness creatures that tend to survive the trigger from this. Cauldron, again, a bit more work. I don't think it's a slam dunk card that just wins you a game in the Black-Green deck. I think it's a good card if you have Witch's Ovens, but without it, it's a bit of a risk. So yeah, I think I like the Wicked Guardian here. And besides, this is best out of 1, so okay. Well, happy to see Keeper Fables. Excellent card. All-around solid. One of the best uncommons in this set. We already have an Edgewall Innkeeper as one of the best uncommons as well, and now we have Keeper Fable, so this is looking great. Looks like green is very open too. There is Clockwork Servant, but never going to take it over Reaper, but a pretty good card. I mean, not Reaper, Keeper. Reaper is also pretty solid in Black-Green, since you're looking to play more slower, grindier game. Sometimes you can pair this up with a Lucky Clover and make the opponent discard 4, which is incredibly powerful. But otherwise, it's okay. Play this on turn 4, reap the opponent's hand, and play a nice 4-body flyer in the late game if you have to. Another Curious pair would be fine, but can't really pass it up on a keeper. Just a really solid curve topper, and we could use a 5-drop right now. Even in a deck with a couple of humans, you do get triggers from this, especially like cards like Ginger Brute, since you can make this unblockable and unblockable. And also with flyers, this is nice, and this can also attack. So I see a good reason for playing Ginger Brute now in this deck if we have Keeper Fables. So let's take it here. Alright, looking at this pack, nothing too exciting. Lost Legion is okay, but it's kind of sketchy being double black. You really want to play this in a heavy black deck for the most part. Even like in white black, if you're like, for example, heavy white, you don't want to play Lost Legion since it's a little bit difficult to cast. Overall, it's okay, nothing too amazing. I do like the second Curious pair though, just plays well the Wicked Guardian, makes a food, a decent blocker in the early game. So yeah, let's take it here. Alright, here, I could use a second Ginger Brute maybe, but we're not being hyper aggressive. I guess there's Lost Legion, but again, it's going to be a little bit difficult to cast, especially if we're looking to be heavy green already with Fierce Witchstalker and Keeper Fables at double green. So I don't know if we want to really just cast this, to be honest. And sometimes I want to use the food to gain life. I don't necessarily want this to fix my mana. So maybe just another Ginger Brute. So yeah, let's take it. Barrel Witches, how good is this? We currently don't have any Knights, but we do. But sometimes Black-Green does have a fine, decent Knights team, and this can be okay. Especially if you have like Black Lance Paragon, Mareleaf Riders, you can kind of fetch them back. But overall, I think this might just be the Gingerbread Cabin, just to kind of give us a food enabler. We're kind of lacking removal. We have a single Reap Soul. Is there a chance that we move into blue? Green, it's possible. Like, the only reason we have to play black is like Reef Soul, Tempting Witch, and Wicked Guardian. We didn't pick up any too much amazing black removal. Like, Festive Funeral is pretty clunky at 5 mana, and it does require you to have stuff in your graveyard first. So it's not the best pick here. Given that it's still late in the pack, I think I might just pick the Mareleaf Pixie. We can still be a blue-green food stack with double Curious pair, and then we can use kind of big creatures at the top end, and this can help us ramp. So I don't mind this card. It's also the best card in this pack by far, so I think I just take it here. Okay, nothing amazing. Again, double black is sketchy. There's a Flax Intruder, which I don't care about. Wildwood Tracker, not being hyper-aggressive. Maybe just set Festive Funeral. Just have a clunky removal spell. Do I just take a second Tempting Witch? I think I do. There's also Giant Skewer, but it is a slow card. It does make you food, of course, but from my experience, it's pretty slow. You cast this for 2 mana and you pay 3, so it's basically 5 mana to just make a 2/2, 2/1 at the end of the day. Sure, you can kind of enhance a creature. It can slowly, like, block better and whatnot, but it's not too exciting. I mean, I guess with Ginger Brute it can be fine, just as a way to kind of enhance it and push pressure some damage. And we could definitely use one here. It's still the second pack, so we could definitely pick up a second Tempting Witch later. So yeah, maybe a Skewer can be fine. Here, how good is Halberd? We already have a Skewer. I think I prefer the Skewer in the food stack over the Halberd. We also have a good number of good number of humans already. So maybe just a Gambrate Carver as a pump trick and a creature we can play on 4. Also an adventure creature for Edgewall Innkeeper, so gotta keep that in mind. Ooh, Reaper looks good here. Already have double Curious paired. They do get pretty bad multiples. But Reaper wouldn't be bad. Just a nice play on turn 4 and also a decent flyer in the late game. As a late game curve topper. Curious pairs seem to wheel. These seem to get passed around a lot, and we already have 2. Which can get bad in multiples, so I think I'm liking the Reaper here. Alright, so pretty nice setup for a black-green food stack. What are we looking for? Some better removal, maybe some bacon to the pie, some epic downfalls, more Reef Souls. We could be in blue-green if the black isn't flowing, but we'd be giving up on some decent black playables by now. But overall, we do have a hole at 3. So I do need to fill this up with maybe a little bit few more Tempting Witches, some Rosedarn Acolytes to help us ramp. The Curve Toppers look good. We have a good 5-drop, a good 7-drop, decent number of 4s. Could use one more Curve Topper. I guess Beanstalk Giant is a Curve Topper and a 3-drop. Turn 3 play. So it's not looking bad. Early game's looking fine, so overall, hopefully this last pack delivers, because, I mean, we have a pretty solid black-green food stack, so let's move on. And what do we pick up? Giant Killer's definitely an excellent first pick, but not in our colors. Enchanted Carriage can be fine. Not the best in green, so to speak, since green already tends to have big creatures like Fierce Witchstalker at 4 and Keeper of Fables. And you don't really want to pay 5 mana to make a 4/4 in green. But this can be a fine card, like another color, like white-red or white-black or white-blue and whatnot. And you know, simply because the green cards are already bigger, you don't really want to play just a filler 5-drop at the end of the day. I think I like the Outmuscle here just being the best card for us. We're also looking for removal, which we're kind of lacking, so I think it makes sense to take it. And it's a good incentive to play heavy green with that. Now what? The best card in this pack is Fairy Vandal. Is there a chance we move into blue-black? I mean, we'd be giving up a lot of good black playables, like another Wicked Guardian, Reaper, Tempting Witch. I'm kind of tempted to just take another Wicked Guardian here, just a nice 2-for-1, and we kind of have some black cards already that we do want to play, like this Reef Soul. I mean, Fairy Vandal would be nice, but it doesn't really have too much synergy with our deck, except maybe with the Golden Egg. Fairy Vandal is a good card. It's best in red-blue, but I think it's a good card in any blue deck, to be honest. Simply because blue tends to have all the good card draw in the set, like Opt, Witching Wells, once the future, you know, maybe into the story, maybe like even Tome Raider can cantrip and grow the Fairy Vandal, but overall it's going to be best in blue-red, and we currently don't have too many ways to draw the second card to enable this, so pretty disappointing, but I think Wicked Guardian's fine. And Spin Swords Master is a fine 2-drop, also a nice adventure. I mean, there's Barrel Witches, but we currently don't have any Knights. There's another Garenbray Carver, but they get pretty bad multiples, and you don't really want to play a 4-mana 3/2 at the end of the day. And the Pump spell can get played around, so I think I like the Spin Swords Master, just a decent 2-drop. Here, another Wicked Guardian, so we're just going to play a million Witches. Maybe just cut the Garenbray Carver. We do have a decent number of 3 toughness creatures as well that hopefully we can play in the early game, but other than that, I don't think I'm playing any of these. So I guess we take it here. Another Marrowleaf Pixie, but I think the ship has sailed. Don't think we're going blue-green at this point. I think I like the Toonvale Treefolk as another nice play on turn 4. Another adventure creature for the Edgewall Innkeeper to draw with. Just a 6-drop Curve Topper, so we will have a 5-drop, a 7-drop, and also a 6-drop in this deck, so that looks pretty good. Forever Young would be okay as well. If we're looking to like get back creatures, Flax Intruder, not big on this card unless you have a Lucky Clover. Like a 1/2 at the end of the day isn't going to block and attack too effectively. And this card doesn't even have evasion. Unless you can find a way to give this card evasion, then it's not going to really destroy the opponent's artifact or enchantments. It also has a sacrifice itself too, which is another downside. So it not only has to be a 1-for-1, but you need to grant this kind of evasion to even get through. And, you know, 7 mana make 3 2/2 bears isn't all that too exciting. So I think I'm liking the Treefolk. There's another Curve Topper that we can use. Nothing here. I don't think I'm playing triple Gingerbread. Gingerbrute, we have 2 of them already. How good is Cauldron's Gift? I mean, it could be fine as another 5-drop play. I mean, we already had a Garenbray Carver. Again, I might not even play this. Maybe the Cauldron can be something to play in the late game. Once the future looks excellent, happy to see it here. Can help us find back our playables. If they end up dying, can kind of get back our removal spells, even though we don't have much. It's a really nice value engine. Maybe just take a random Prophet of the Peak. I mean, we have a bunch of late game already. Maybe just take a Lash of Thorns. Don't think this matters. Don't think any of this matters. Still late Wandermare. Alright, if we could have ended on blue-green, I mean, our deck still wouldn't be as powerful as it is from what I've seen. So I kind of think black-green was the right direction to go. We're kind of lacking removal, so I think playing Festive Funeral is okay in this deck. So now what are we looking to play? Double Gingerbrew, don't know if I want to play both of them. Skewer on 2, there's a Reef Soul, Insatiable Appetite as a pump trick. Trail of Crumbs looks good. So our twos are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have pretty decent number 2 drop. Not a lot of 4, 3 drops, unfortunately. I don't even know if I'm going to play this Giant Opportunity, to be honest. Could see myself cutting one Gingerbrute since they kind of get bad in multiples in this type of deck. Gambrick Carver can pretty much go, maybe. I do like my 4s. I could cut a Wicked Guardian since I don't know how often this is going to trigger. Cauldron's Gift is pretty medium since we're not looking to really mill ourselves, and just getting a creature back with a 1/1 counter at 5 mana is not all that amazing. So I can see myself cutting it. Beanstalker Giant's a good play on turn 3. Since we're lacking removal, I actually don't mind the Festive Funeral in this type of deck with the out muscle as well. Could just cut a Wicked Guardian, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't mind a pump spell with Garen Break Carver and Insatiable Appetite, since usually that's kind of the plan in Limited. How good is Giant Opportunity? It can occasionally make us a 7/7, like let's just say we play a Brute on one, make a food, and then we can make a 7/7 Giant Opportunity, so it's actually not that bad. It has some synergy with Trail of Crumbs as well. We do have a lot of 4s, so maybe I just cut a Wicked Guardian. Like, this is a lot better than the Garenbrick Carver, but at the end of the day, I don't know how many 3 toughness we're going to have. We're going to curve into this. For example, if they answer a Curious Pair, we're not going to get a card draw off of this. I mean, Garenbrick Carver can be a fine pump trick along with Insatiable Appetite to maybe kind of push through. So I don't mind cutting 1 because our 4 drops are looking pretty stacked. So let's see. Yeah, our 4s are looking stacked, so I can see myself actually cutting a single Wicked Guardian just to make sure it's much more consistent and we don't have too much of this. Like 4 mana 4/2 is not amazing, but the fact you draw your card is pretty decent. So I think this is just kind of our deck for now. Just all these decent 2-drops. Yeah, maybe I would love another Tempting Witch. I forgot what I took over it. I think I took another Giant Skewer over it, and I might just regret it in this matchup. These are interaction spells. Looking at the mana base, we're favoring green, so there's no reason to play Witch's Cottage. We do want some black in the early game, so I think it makes sense to go 9/8 here. And then, yeah, I guess this is just our deck. And how many food enablers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, but it's mostly 5. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have plenty of ways to generate food, so I wouldn't mind this Giant Opportunity sometimes, occasionally making a 7/7 out of the blue. In terms of adventures, with the Edgewall Innkeeper, how much do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it looks pretty decent. So yeah, I think this deck is pretty good. Any last final changes? Do I want a Gingerbrute? No, not really. They kind of get bad multiples, and 1 should be enough in this type of grindy black-green food stack, which we're not looking to be going hyper aggro. I think I'm fine cutting up a Wicked Guardian since kind of our 3 toughness is kind of lacking. Like, we could play these on 2. We could have 3 Wicked Guardians, but like multiples can be kind of bad again, since if you don't have like 3 toughness exactly on turn 4, then it's just going to sit there for the most part, and we only have like 1, 2, 3 creatures. I mean, sure, you can follow this up with like the Keeper of Fables or the Fierce Witch Stalker, I guess, but sometimes having a pump spell is just better in a limited, just to kind of survive a removal spell or push through. And we're kind of lacking removal, so I wouldn't mind like a Garen Break Carver giving a creature 2/2 Insatiable Appetite to maybe push. Festive Funeral is not amazing, but it's a removal spell that we might need to use. Cauldron's Gift, not amazing as well. The animate's not going to come up, and the creature needs to die first in order to retrieve it back. So I think this is just our deck, so let's see how it goes. Alright. Well, Edgewall Innkeeper on 1 is looking good. Do I make a food? I can just play out Curious Pair on 2. It's not bad, to be honest, since we have other ways to make food in this deck. And our only real food payoff card is being Trail of Crumbs. So I can see skipping out on making a food. I could just make a food on 1, but then, I mean, I don't have another follow-up. I think this is a decent keep. So yeah, Edgewall Innkeeper on 1. I don't mind just cycling the Curious Pair. Do lose out on food, but who cares, you know. Ooh, could play out Smitten Swordsmaster instead. I think that might even be better, so I can get the food value. So yeah, this is looking good. And Reaper, that's nice. Getting for 1. And then if we draw 4th land, we can get a Wicked Guardian trigger. Opponent's in mono blue right now. He might be missing a second color. So here I think the play is to make a food. He's selling up 2 mana, so he could have a Fairy Vandal here that can ambush my Edgewall Innkeeper. So I might just attack with a Smitten Swordsmaster instead. I think that's reasonable, given that this is a good turn to flash into Fairy Vandal, and I don't want to make any misplays. So I guess he doesn't have it. Otherwise, I think he would. So he's going blue-red. Cover removal spell here. Now I think I could play the Fierce Witch Stalker. I could put 1/1 counters onto a creature. I don't think there's any reason to make them discard 2 since they have a lot of cards up. You could have a counter spell. In that case, maybe I just bait with the Wicked Guardian. I could just play out the Tempting Witch, but it's not too amazing. Let's just kind of attack first. Again, I'm not going to attack for Edgewall. He could top deck like a Fairy Vandal, and I don't want to get punished. So this is fine. Yeah, I don't mind this getting countered. At the very least, it's not like getting a Reaper countered, Fierce Witch Stalker countered. Tempting Witch is a much more... I guess I could play Tempting Witch, but it's not exciting, to be honest. And I really want Double Spell, maybe, with this. Alright, I could make them discard. Could just play out the Fierce Witch Stalker. Could just put counters on the Smitten Swordsmaster, to be honest, and get in for an attack. Lots of options here. I could also just put counters on the Curious Pair to block the Ogre Errant, but I think I'm liking the counters on the Smitten Swordsmaster. Maybe offer trade, and this is going to gain me a ton of life. So yeah, he's not going to race me anytime soon with a 4/3 lifelinker that's getting in. Opponent milled a Beanstalk Giant, so that's unfortunate. Wicked Guardian, Gingerbrute, Bread Cabin, okay. Mad Ratter, so opponent's doing it. Could play out the Giant Skewer. And just attach it onto the Smitten Swordsmaster. That's actually not bad. Or I can just play the Wicked Guardian, develop the board. That's also not bad. He's obviously going to trade here, so if I attach it, I might just get in for a lot. So I think I'm going to go for it. He could double block, but that'll be quite quite a lot of. But he's going to lose both cards, and this is 6 lifelinks, so getting in there is nice. I mean, Fierce Witch Stalker could also trample over the tokens that he makes, so that's also a consideration as well. But this is a lot of damage. Could have like throw at instant speed, and he might just double block the Smitten Swordsmaster. Gain, how much is this every source when it deals damage to combat damage to... Okay, alright, that's fine. Now we can just play out the Tree Folk and draw a card. That's not bad. So Edgewall Innkeeper on 1, definitely incredibly powerful in this matchup. We're outvaluing the opponent, gaining more cards, and we still have a functional hand with all these lands that we're playing out. Alright, opt to make a bunch of 1/1s, I don't mind that. Might Reaper them next turn, or I can just double spell Tempting Witch and Fierce Witch Stalker. That might be better, because he's keeping up mana for a counter spell. Once in Future is pretty nice too, so guess we play out the Swamp. Guess I could just get an attack in with Tree Folk first. I could equip with Tree Folk. And then, I mean, he's mostly going to chump block, which I don't mind. He could just do a double block. If I quit with Tree Folk, that's 3 mana, and I can still play a 4-drop. But I kind of want to resolve the Tempting Witch just to kind of drain them out, so I think we just send in the Tree Folk. And now the question is, what do I play here? I think I might play the Fierce Witchstalker first, get that countered, and then the Tempting Witch. Since if the Tempting Witch is more likely to resolve, I could just drain them out. The Fierce Witchstalker, they can still have enough power and toughness to trample over. It's enough power and toughness that the trample is not going to be relevant, so I think I'm going to lead off with the Witchstalker and see what happens. I don't mind this getting countered, and then I can play a Tempting Witch, sure. Yep. Next turn I should be able to drain them. Start draining them, of course. Opponent with some pretty decent mills, Outmuscle, Golden Egg, Carver. But he's still far from beating us. Next turn I can just Reaper them, and then activate Tempting Witch, and get an attack in with Tree Folk. That's not bad. He's probably going to get... I guess if he's going to get his second copy... I guess it's not counter spell. It's a Searing Barrage, so he might use it on the Tree Folk here. Well, I guess he's going to opt for the Searing Barrage now. He might use it on the Tempting Witch, in fact, just to kind of prevent the drain from happening. So yeah, I think he's going to go for that, and I can kind of mill the rest of his cards, sure. I could just play it out, but I think I want to get the rest of these last 2 cards. So this looks good. And God's into the story, so that's looking great. So now I can equip the Giant Skewer onto the Tree Folk. I guess I could have once in future for Adamant as well. Alright, this isn't bad, so I'm going to gain a bunch of food just by killing all these, so... I think I make 4 food since I deal damage 4 times, so there's no way the opponent's going to win this at this point. He can Scry for 2 next turn. But I think the right play is now just play out the Reaper, draw a card. Does he have another counter spell up? He's probably going to Scry for 2 here. Opponent's not playing black, so I shouldn't be scared of the opponent's Reaper. Now I have Trail of Crumbs that I can cast onto, so this is looking incredibly powerful. Now, next turn I can equip the Giant Skewer onto the Kiri's pair. I can also just once in future for Adamant, to be honest. Yep. So, pretty nice deck overall. Solid curve. Lots of synergies. Alright, let's move on. Alright, can't beat Edgewall Innkeeper 1, so we're going to keep this. Opponent's going to get an attack for 1. So let's see. We could just make a food. Then we can just, I guess I can play out Gingerbrute, then I can play out Edgewall Innkeeper and Kiri's pair the next turn, and then I can draw the turn after. No, I don't mind it. Training 1 for now, it's pretty decent. I could just leave this behind the block since he's kind of playing red, at the very least. I mean, but I could get like Giant Opportunity, which wants me to sacrifice 2 foods to make a 7/7. So could just keep it back. I mean, yeah, let's attack in. Eventually he's gonna have to make this unblockable anyways. He has enough mana for a removal spell, of course, being Scorching Dragonfire. But I think I still play out the Edgewall Innkeeper if I can. He might have it, so do I go for it and play out the Edgewall Innkeeper? I can always play it out next turn, I suppose. I think I play out next turn, because it looks like he's holding up removal. I mean, this would be a lot more mana efficient for me, but I don't really see a reason to play it, to be honest, since I'm going to play up... If I don't... Like, let's just say if I do the turn after, let's just say all I get is attempt. All I can do is play out Tempting Witch, which I don't care about. Opponent's going to clock us for 2 every time now, so I might just leave back behind the Gingerbrute now. So this is looking good. We can Innkeeper. I can play out the Kiri's Pair. I can still leave back the Gingerbrute to block the 1/1, so he makes it unblockable. I can still go for it. So I honestly don't think I'm being the aggressor here, so I don't mind if you like trade the Gingerbrutes. He might have a removal spell now for the Edgewall Innkeeper, but we still got value out of it with the Kiri's Pair. Could enhance this or use Bargain. Alright, that's going to take 3 mana to equip unless it's a knight. So eventually he's going to make this into a 3/3. Here, what do? I guess we just play out the Tempting Witch. If he makes this into 3/3, he can still make this unblockable, and I don't really want to chump with the Gingerbrute. So I think I'm just going to go for it. Just attack. I don't have to make this unblockable. I could attack with both Kiri's Pair and Gingerbrute. I don't think I mind that. Since he's just mostly going to equip the Gingerbrute and start clocking me for 3 per turn. But I should have enough food to kind of stabilize against the opponent if he wants to go this direction. Yeah, he's looking to maybe just equip, make it unblockable, and then I can just basically draw a card next turn off of this Keeper. This will attack for 4, but again I do have food to help me stabilize. If the opponent's game plan is just to make a Brute unblockable and just to get in for a whole ton, then it's definitely... don't think that's really the good game plan, to be honest. Guess I'll take 2, I don't mind. He should have enough for maybe Searing Barrage or Bacon to a Pie, so I should be careful of that. Okay, Raging Redcap is definitely scary. He's probably going to equip it onto this, and I might be forced, and it has Trample too, so that's annoying. Ooh, there's an Insatiable Appetite. Maybe I can sacrifice a food and get in. If I attack, he's going to be quite suspicious. But yeah, I think I'm getting in there. Obviously, he's not blocking. Then the Keeper Fables is pretty decent here. He would have blocked if I played the Keeper of Fables first. I guess I'm fine maybe chumping with the edge. No, he has Trample, but let's see. How much am I taking? 8, 9, 10. Just taking 10 to 4. Yeah, Searing Barrage here. That's not good. Alright, so I do need to keep up blockers for this Raging Redcap. I'll have to take a bunch right now. But should be fine if I can Insatiable Appetite and once in future. Do I trade off for the Gingerbrute? Probably. It is quite a number of damage. Might make it unblockable, but I think it's fine trading this off. Just to prevent 1. Because I don't want this to gain unblockable forever, and he's going to start smorking me, so... Probably has a barge in here. That's pretty bad. Oh. Well, that's 12. But that's not lethal. I'm down to 1. I can still stabilize next turn with the Insatiable Appetite play. I could Wicked Guardian first, Insatiable Appetite. This is going to be a trample. So I think the Insatiable Appetite should block it enough. So I think it's fine to play out the Tempting Witch here. Use it on a Tempting Witch. And I think I attack with the Tempting Witch here. No, I think I get in with the Gingerbrute. I might need the extra blocker. Yeah, let's just get in for there for 1. And I should have Insatiable Appetite to make a decent block against his Raging Redcap. If he has a removal spell, then I'm dead, but gotta go for it. Could double block here, to be honest. Like, if I make this into a 5-5, it's gonna trade. I got a sack of food, but I think I still go for it. The Tempting Guard Witch can probably drain them out, so yeah, let's go for it. Still not lethal. He might now just equip the Rimrock Knight. I can get in for 4. The Rimrock Knight will be a 6-powered attacker next turn. With Trample. So I would need a lot of good toughness. Ooh, Outmuscle is looking excellent. I guess I just Outmuscle here. Guess I could Beanstalk Giant first. Actually, that was a bit of a misplay. Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay. Oops. But I think I have to go for this. Why didn't the lands tap better? Come on, Magic. This is so dumb. I could have gotten in for an extra 5 damage here. But the stupid auto tapper didn't give me Adamant. So this might just cost me the game. Next I can play out a 7/7 Giant, which can block profitably. A Rimrock Knight again. So this can't block, so I'm fine attacking with both. And just playing out the Beanstalk Giant. Ooh, Giant Opportunity. But I think it's Beanstalk Giant here. And start clocking the opponents. If opponent has Bargain, then I'm dead. Or any +2 pump tricks. Piper, okay, that's going to take a while for the opponent. He doesn't have any good attacks. I can make a million food next turn. Basically, he needs to chump with the Piper. And now then what? He's just going to make chump blockers all day with the Piper. Once in future can get me back. Nothing. Insatiable Appetite, I suppose. If I sacrifice 2 foods, that's going to put me to 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm still going to be alive if I sacrifice 2 foods. So, yeah, maybe just Giant Opportunity here. Yeah, I could sacrifice 2 foods. That's actually not bad. And just make 2 7/7s. Yeah, I think I'd go for it. The next turn I can once in future for Outmuscle. Oh, actually, oops, yeah. Well, yeah, let's play out the trail. I guess he's trying to make a rat with Menace and try to get in for 1. Alright, we got him. I don't know, there was a couple plays I could have made differently in that matchup, but it was sketchy staying at 1 life. But luckily, the removal didn't pick up any bargains or trample, but overall, pretty solid start. So let's keep playing. Alright, here, well, we have Edgewall Innkeeper, but we have to start with a tap Cabin. I don't hate it. It's going to be slow, but I think this is still a keep. And we're on the draw, so, opponent might have a 1-drop of himself. Not really. Okay, Force is looking good. So happy I can play that out. Next turn I can play a Smitten Swordsmaster. This is the third game where I have Edgewall Innkeeper, so, it's definitely going to maybe increase my win percentage. And a Trail of Crumbs. Okay, that's a good card. Right, looking like a nice Smitten Swordsmaster turn. Now we can just draw a card off of this. Festive Funeral, not going to do much for now, but let's get in for one. Do I just make 3 foods with a Giant Opportunity? I don't hate it. I mean, what else are we going to do? We could save it to make a 7/7 for later. Do I just play out the Gingerbread Cabin? Maybe. I do miss on a food, but I don't think it's a big deal. Like, Wicked Guardian next turn won't be amazing. I could suicide my Smitten Swordsmaster and just draw a card off of it, which isn't a bad idea. Just play Swamp for now. Do we make 3 foods? I think we do. Or we can just save it. We could make a 7/7 later and we might regret it. So the problem with playing 3 Wicked Guardians is situations like this again, where there isn't enough 3 toughness creatures. Here, yeah, I think I just play out the Wicked Guardian, kill off my Smitten Swordsmaster since it can't block this 5/5 anyways. Draw a card. No attacks. Guess we'll have to take 5 per turn. Might have to play this Gingerbread Cabin tapped eventually. Festive Funeral is not amazing. I mean, I guess I could leave up Festive Funeral next turn, 2 for 1 myself by blocking with the Wicked Guardian, and then just trying to kill the Garenbrig Paladin. He could have a Pump Spell, which can punish me severely. Okay, that's a good card. And Sorcerer's Broom to make a million brooms in the late game. Okay, I think I might just do that. Otherwise, I guess I can just equip Skewer. Yeah, that's even better. To at least trade off for the Paladin if that scenario occurs. Now the opponent can just keep stacking food and drawing cards. Opponent looks like to be mono green with the Occam Ranger. You really don't want to play this unless you're in white green, but it seems like he's mono green. Could have Out Muscle here, which can take out this Wicked Guardian for Adamant, and then you get in for 6. But right now I'm just playing the defense game right now. Didn't draw much. I think we kind of flooded out right now with all these lands in our hand. And we only have like 3 playables, to be honest. Alright, Tall's a Beanstalk. So definitely looking to essentially, that's a lot of damage, so I do need to deal with this next turn. I could send my Edgewall Innkeeper to the graveyard. Guess I have Giant Opportunity to make a bunch of food, so I don't mind that. Maybe I can survive another turn. So do I get in with the Wicked Guardian? I guess I have 2 cards in my graveyard. So yeah, well I had to cast this first to have the Festive Funeral up. So I could just go for an attack here. But I think I need this behind the block still. So I might just stack food, end of turn, take 8 from this Garenbrig Paladin and set up like a Festive Funeral turn where I can Festive Funeral and trade off this Wicked Guardian. But overall, it's not looking good for me. Well, I think I'm dead now. Well, I still make a food if I block. He probably has an out muscle here. He just drew. Yeah, it's a good game. Alright. Got killed by mono green. So be it. Happens. Gambray Paladin is a good 5-drop, by the way. Very solid card. But it was looking good in the start, but we didn't draw any Kiri's pairs. We kind of had to get rid of our 2-1 just to draw a card, the Wicked Guardian. But it was looking very promising with the Edgewall Innkeeper, but you never know what you draw in Magic, so that's the whole fun of the RNG elements of this game. No great bombs in our deck. The closest thing to a bomb is maybe like Keeper of Fables. Just overall, just very good cards. Would love like a Wicked Guardian maybe. That would have been great. I mean, I guess Trail is almost... I wouldn't call it a bomb. It's just a good card. Same with Edgewall Innkeeper. Alright, let's see. Well, no turn 2, no turn 1 Innkeeper, but we do have turn 1 Kiri's Bearer. Make a food, turn 2, and then we can Beanstalker to kind of help us ramp. I think this is a good keep, and we're especially on the draw. But Edgewall Innkeeper would definitely be powerful in this hand, but so it goes. Just need a 3rd land so we can ramp with the Beanstalker Giant, and then the Beanstalk Giant, and we can follow it with a nice 4/4. Crashing Drawbridge. Opponent might be looking to play an aggressive deck. This turn I might just play Egg to make sure we kind of hit our land drops. Otherwise, we're not going to get there. So I think I like this. Making sure that we kind of get the lands going. The Kiri's Pair could maybe be an okay blocker. But I'm just going to take 2 from this Noble, which I can always counteract. Alright, so this looks like a good turn to Beanstalk for a Forest. Next turn we can play out a Witch Stalker. Hopefully the opponent doesn't memory theft us. Okay, Resolute Rider is definitely scary, but I think I might just outmuscle it. The turn he taps out. And a Keeper looks good here, just as a good blocker against the Resolute Rider. So this is looking good. Opponent might just keep a mana for Indestructible. Okay, Cauldron's Gift. So this looks like a good turn to outmuscle the Resolute Rider. Ooh, Yara is strong. So do I outmuscle the Rider or do I outmuscle the Yara? Yara can be a long-term issue. We can still block the Rider for the most part. Opponent is mono black, so he can eventually drain us, even sacrifice creatures. So it's pretty close. Resolute Rider is just a blocker. It's just a card that he can just constantly keep alive for a million years. I guess I might just outmuscle, play out Kiri's Pair maybe. Like, he could just keep chump blocking and then sacrificing and drawing cards with a Yara. So I think the game plan is to play a 2-drop here. Maybe I should have saved it for the Edgewall Innkeeper. Now we have to outmuscle. What do we kill? Maybe Yara. Yeah, Yara's gonna be is just gonna keep clocking us. She could give it haste. Oh yeah, she could give this haste and sacrifice a black card, of course, before it dies, and that's nice. So this is already a 2-for-1. I mean, I guess he's drawing a card off it, but I'm gonna have a blocker up for this Resolute Rider anyways. Do I attack? Probably not, just to stay back in case the opponent has more haste creatures. But I think the Yara kill is decent, and Bake isn't nice. Okay, so gotta take 4 here. Maybe if I have an extra land, I can play a Beanstalker Giant to block off this Resolute Rider. Ooh, Trail of Crumbs. But I can't play a Witch Stalker and Trail of Crumbs. Could play Witch Stalker. Could Trail of Crumbs. Sack. Draw a card. Play Giant Skewer. Yeah, let's just do this. Much more mana efficient. I might just chump with the Curious Pair too if he attacks the 4-2. I need like another good blocker in case the opponent plays something else. And do I? Yeah, let's play out the Skewer. Don't think I'm gonna die anytime soon. Fine chumping with the Curious Pair. Just say go. The Big in the Pie was pretty awful for us. So opponent's just gonna attack with the 4-2. Honestly, gonna just chump here. I think it's fine. He looks like he has another card to follow up at 5. Right, Sorcerer's Broom, but he would need a million food for that. Right, another Jousting Dummy. So I do need some blockers up. So this turn, what can I do? I would need a Beanstalker to block the Resolute Rider. I can block a Jousting Dummy, and I can still be alive, so I think that's fine. Do I trade off Fierce Witch Stalker? I don't mind, just so I don't take the extra damage, to be honest. If he has another creature and he hastes, I would be in trouble, so I would need to block the Jousting Dummy. But for now, I can kind of secure the ground. I can find Festive Funeral to take out the Resolute Rider. However, Trail of Crumbs isn't going to draw it for me, since that's an instant / sorcery. So eventually I need to deal with this card. But I'm happy that I took out Yara at least, even though he didn't play too many black cards and a bunch of artifacts instead. Could just equip the Giant Skewer on the Fierce Witch Stalker next turn to have good blockers against this Resolute Rider and also make a food. I guess he's just going to stack and make a million Sorcerer Brooms. I'm kind of doubting that he doesn't have extra food, so I think it's fine and reasonable to block a Jousting Dummy here. He doesn't even have enough mana to keep up the Resolute Rider's Indestructible. So I think the opponent still needs to play it slow here. And Carver, okay, so now I can play out a Trail of Crumbs. I just sacrifice a food, draw a card. I think I'll do that. Yeah. I don't mind a land here, so I can kind of put up the Tempting Witch as a blocker. So that seems perfect. Don't really need to pump anything, just a Tempting Witch is fine. Could start getting in for 8s, but the Resolute Rider will still be blocking me, so I think I still stay back. Eventually I can outvalue the opponent with the Trail of Crumbs. Maybe Reaper can start flying over. Well, the Giant Skewer is annoying, especially if he can give this Indestructible. But I guess my Beanstalker Giant still blocks it profitably. So the opponent's definitely looking to out-aggro me to win the game. Reef Soul is fine. So I Reef Soul the Sorcerer's Broom and a Crashing Drawbridge. Maybe it would make sense to could attack in the Fierce Witch Stalker, but he's definitely not blocking it. Maybe I draw off the food first. He just needs removal from my Beanstalk Giant to basically win the game. Festive Funeral. This is the problem with Trail of Crumbs again. Cards like this. Do I just Reef Soul? I don't see anything too threatening, to be honest. Could just sacrifice and draw again. And keep up Carver and Reef Soul. I could just attach the Giant Skewer, to be honest. Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, let's just do that, and then we can still sacrifice food end of turn. I guess I could drain them out with the Tempting Witch, but you still have 24 life, so this is a lot, so I think we're just gonna say go. He can make this indestructible and lifelink every day, and gain 1,000,000 life to Ginger Brutes. I guess he can start he can equip the Giant Skewer on a Ginger Brute and start getting in. And I would have a good Reef Soul target now, so glad that I stayed back with it. Was unblockable, so I guess I'll just stack the food now. And Reaper looks good since I can start flying over. I think I prefer that over the Tree Folk. So yeah, Reaper looks good here. So he's going to have to start holding on to cards, basically. So let's Reef Soul here. And then the Reaper looks good. I think I'll just play out land anyways. I mean, he could have his own Reaper, but he's just going to make me discard first. Yeah, I'll just play out land. I could attack in for 10, but he can just swing back with the Resolute Rider and this dumb Skewer, so gotta start clocking him at 4, and maybe I'll drain him out the Tempting Witch. Would love my Beanstalker Giant to gain Trample, but unfortunately that's not the case. Okay, Giant Opportunity is looking great. I think I want to make food with the Giant Opportunity. I don't think I want to necessarily make a Giant since it's not going to get past his Resolute Rider. I guess I could kind of make a Giant and maybe just swing in with both. But he's going to have this Resolute Rider up, which I don't want. So I think the game plan here is just to drain them with the Wicked Tempting Witch and the Reaper. So decline. So we're gonna start getting the Reaper. I mean, we could even just tap the Tempting Witch, to be honest. We'll do that at the end of his turn, just to keep up a blocker at least. Alright, the opponent shouldn't be playing out lands, so because if he does, he's just gonna give my Beanstalker Giant flying all day. So now he's just gonna keep attacking. That's fine. I'm gonna start getting him the Reaper and then start draining him the Tempting Witch. Eventually, I should be able to. I mean, I guess he's gonna make a food anyways. I think I need more big bodies, I guess, then. But eventually, I think I should draw the answers with this deck. Sure. He also makes a food. So this is interesting. Do I still drain him? Since, I mean, he's just going to gain a bunch of life. I'm going to do 7 per turn. He's going to gain 6 and 10. So, yeah, maybe it's just sack for life. Maybe it's better to just have made the Giant Beanstalk Giant. Ginger Brute. Okay, that's not bad with a Skewer. Yeah, I could drain them. Yeah, I guess it's fine to drain him now. Since I can just make the Ginger Brute unblockable and start chipping in on the opponent. Wicked Guardian's not bad. I'm not scared of decking myself, I don't think, so I think it's just fine, just... we're not attacking the Tempting Witch. Well, forgot he has a Crashing Drawbridge. Oops. Yeah, forgot he has a Crashing Drawbridge to make his stuff. give his stuff haste, so it blocks Ginger Brute. So I think all we need to do is just keep swinging in. I mean, eventually I'm going to get Festive Funeral, I think, to answer this Resolute Rider. It's still near the bottom of my deck, so I can kind of try to fetch for it eventually. So I do need to start digging with the the Trail of Crumbs. So he's gonna gain 1,000,000 life. So yeah, I need to start sacrificing aggressively. My 3/3s can block that. I don't care. So yeah, I need to Insatiable Appetite, but that's not gonna kill him. Yeah, I need to start digging aggressively for my Festive Funeral. So I think I can just start sacking food. Might as well sack the food to deal damage at the very least, to get that extra points of crucial damage. Curious Pair is nice, since it can make me a food. Could stack again, could just make another food. Yeah, let's stack again. Right, how close are we to Festive Funeral? We are 2 draw steps closer, so what I can do is I can equip the Skewer now. Get in for 6, make a food. Doesn't seem wrong. I mean, I guess I can sacrifice food end of turn anyway, so yeah, let's get in there for 6. Because I do want to dig deeper, so I can eventually draw out this Festive Funeral to kill off this Resolute Rider. The opponent would have a lot of life though, but at least I'm still kind of clocking him in a sense. I mean, I guess it's not going to get back once in future, but we'll let that resolve. I mean, I guess he can make 1,000,000 brooms now, but I don't really care. Okay, I guess he's not going to attack with the Resolute Rider, so he's just looking to make 1,000,000 brooms. So yeah. Swordsmaster, don't have any knights. Wicked Guardian can draw me deeper into my Festive Funeral. Okay, so now what? So we're close to our Festive Funeral, so what I want to do is I don't want to draw any more cards. I mean, I can draw 1 card. Ooh, I guess I can do both. So what I can do is I can play out the Edgewall Innkeeper. Don't think I care about this Beanstalker Giant. I mean, I guess I'll deal 2 to it. I can just play out the Curious Pair. Let's see. How much lands is this? This is 8. So, I can pay 3 and get the Festive Funeral back, so... And then we can kill off this Resolute Rider and start clocking the opponent. Opponent can make 1,000,000 brooms, but he's still not going to kill me. And I can even upgrade my my flyer to eventually get in for a ton think I'm fine trading out my 4-2 for the 3-4, and I can even use the Wicked Guardian, in fact, to drain the opponent out. So I'm liking this. Next turn should be dead with the Drain and the Insatiable Appetite that I'm going to use with the Tempting Witch. So, yep. I don't understand this play. I guess he's going to start getting in here just to kind of kill me before he dies. I guess that kind of makes sense. Don't care about this attacking in for 4. Like, what is this going to accomplish? I don't care. He can pump it how many times? 2 times. I'm still safe. So, yeah, I'm not going to die anytime soon with this attack. If I can get a Gingerbread Cabin if I activate the Tempting Witch, so I don't mind that. Good game. So Festive Funeral came in handy to deal to Resolute Rider in that match, but Resolute Rider is definitely a bomb if you're unable to answer it in the correct deck. So all right. Opponent thought he could deck me. Well, Festive Funeral came in handy. It's not the best removal spell. It's pretty bad, but overall, at least it managed to deal with the Resolute Rider. I mean, our deck is lacking removal. Otherwise, there's no other way I could have won there. So now this is looking still fine. 3-1. Let's keep going. Right, here we have Trail Crumbs on 2, Beanstalker on 3. I think we can kind of dig into our creatures, so I think this is still a keep. Opponent's playing green as well, right? We'll love the bacon to pie with this deck, but so be it. Now we can play out Forest, Trail. Could play out the Tempting Witch, and then next turn we can maybe Beanstalker and play a 2-drop. I mean, the turn after, play Beanstalker and 2-drop. Okay, Return of Nature, that's a nice one. Alright, so I guess now we can't dig with the Trail of Crumbs, that's unfortunate. But the opponent is stuck on mana, so don't mind the Tempting Witch here. If we're able to draw into our big creatures, we can kind of kill off the opponent. Opponent's stuck with 2 lands. Might just pass the turn again. Alright, there's a Giant Opportunity, so now I can make a 7/7. That's even better. If I Beanstalk Giant right now and get a land, it's still not enough. I think we just do it right away, just to make a 7/7 that you'll have a hard time dealing with, and then we can get him for 1. And since he's kind of mana screwed to 7/7 can start clocking him, unless he has like Trapped in a Tower, then yeah. Kind of unfortunate for the opponent, kept a 2-lander, still didn't manage to get a board going. That's usually how dumb Magic the Gathering Arena is. Sometimes the RNG does go against you. Alright, currently 4-1, let's keep going. Alright, doesn't seem bad. Trail of Crumbs can help us dig. The Golden Egg helps us dig with the Trail of Crumbs, and Smitten Swordsmaster is a fine play on 2. We'll have an Edgewall Innkeeper, but I think this is still worth keeping. Opponent's playing blue, a Witching Well to scry to. Alright. I do like this card a lot. I think it's a great card in blue. The fact that it scries you, helps you dig, fix your draw steps, and then the fact that you can draw you cards in the late game makes this an excellent card in Limited. Could lead with a Smitten to start attacking, but I don't know. Could draw an Edgewall Innkeeper, so I think I might just play Golden Egg. I mean, it's close. I mean, Golden Egg is more like a late game card to draw with. I mean, I do miss out on 1 trigger from the Edgewall Innkeeper, but so be it. I mean, 2/1 lifelinker that's constantly like attacking the opponent and gaining life is pretty nice. And I can even enhance this on turn 4. Sporecap Spider, alright, so it's not getting through. Outmuscle. I think we leave a Golden Egg. Ooh, alright. Just need a 5th land for the Keeper. Might enhance this anyways to start gaining 3 life. Otherwise, I don't really have much to do on turn 4. I could develop the Trail of Crumbs, but that's mana inefficient. Well, if I top deck another green, I can outmuscle the Okame Adversary. So, I could 2-for-1 myself. I mean, I guess I could just Tree Folk and maybe block off the Okame Adversary. I would get punished by a trick, removal spell, but otherwise I don't see much. I don't think there's any other way to deal with this than to do this, so I think we just say go. Fine trading this off. If he has a removal spell, we're kind of screwed. Yeah, he probably has a removal spell. Outmuscle for Adamant. Alright, so that's going to hurt, and he's going to draw cards off of it too. So. That was a painful turn. Wicked Guardian can probably trade off. Don't have anything with high toughness, so I think I'm just going to play it out and trade off for the Okame. Alright, Clockwork Servant draws him the card. That 1 attack with the adversary that turn was pretty bad. I think he's just going to keep this adversary back until he can find something with it. Well, now Edgewall Innkeeper comes, but it's a little bit late to the party. But I guess we can still play it out. Just to kind of flood the board. Kind of missing our land drops. Like, it would have been nice to maybe top deck 2 lands so we can keep her, Gingerbread, make it unblockable, and start attacking. Next turn I might dig for a land, just to ensure that we can empty our hand at some point. Could have like a removal spell, run away together. Okay, I might chump block with the Gingerbread if that's the case. Yeah, I think I will, just to prevent the card draw. I think it's worth it. Merrileaf Rider, okay. Doesn't have any food, alright. Guess I had to play the Gingerbread Cabin tapped. So I think we're going to play out the Wicked Guardian. Definitely not drawing here. Then we can play out the Gingerbread Cabin tapped, and eventually we can start emptying our hand, presumably. Still going to take 3 from this Merrileaf Rider. He could make a food and force a trade with the Edgewall Innkeeper, I suppose. Which is a good trade. Well, Oko is just busted. How do I kill Oko? Now he can force a trade with the Edgewall Innkeeper. I mean, he can just force a trade on Wicked Guardian, in fact. So I can't block off the Okame Ranger. And now he can neutralize all my creatures and turn them into like 3/3 Elks, so that's unfortunate, and he's just gonna keep drawing cards with his adversary as well. Yeah, there's no way I'm winning against Oko at this point, so I think I just concede. -3, that's not going to do much. I could play out the Keeper, but he's just going to neutralize and turn into 3/3 Elk, so... Yep, can't really beat Oko, one of the biggest bombs in this set, so... Still 4-2, still fine. Sometimes you just don't get the busted Mythic, and you can still make a reasonably good deck in Limited, so... I don't think my deck is bad in any sense, I think it's really good. But sometimes you just run into those scenarios, but so be it. Right, we don't have Edgewall Innkeeper on 1. This hand's looking kind of sketchy with all these 4-drops, so I think it's a mulligan. We do need to get some early game going and some action. We are on a draw, but I don't want to risk it. It's pretty bad, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm just going to go down 1 card, but it's not that significant since we're on the draw. So hopefully the next hand is good. So it's mulligan here. Alright, this is better. Edgewall Innkeeper on 1, and what do we bottom? Could bomb a land, to be honest. Could just bomb the Golden Egg. Could bomb the Gingerbrute. Gingerbrute can be fine with Keeper of Fables. I guess I could just bomb the Gingerbrute. It's only good with Keeper of Fables. Yeah, something like this can be fine. Like, we can just draw off the Golden Egg anyways. So I think this is worth keeping. While with Tracker, sure. I could make 2 foods and make a 7/7. I don't think that's a bad play, to be honest. But I have to eventually make sure that I don't get out-muscled. And I need to start drawing with this Edgewall Innkeeper if I want to kind of make it. It's actually not a bad idea. Make a 7/7 blocker. And green usually can't really deal with creatures that large, so I think I just go for it. Next turn we can Curious Pair, make a food. Take some damage for now, and then we can Giant Opportunity, make a 7/7. Yeah, I think I'm attacking for 1. There's no reason to block. Yeah, 7/7 creature will be pretty hard for him to deal with. I guess he'll eventually have a 7/7 with the Beanstalker Giant, but I might find removal for it. So now I think this turn is Curious Pair, make a food. And we play out the Curious Pair and draw a card, and then we attack. Still have a blocker up for this Wildwood Tracker, so that's fine. Eventually I need to deal with this Beanstalk Giant. I don't really have any good removal against big creatures. I could make a big creature myself and then out-muscle it, but that's going to take a while. A Garenbrig Paladin that I need to deal with, so I think it's time to maybe just make a Giant. I could Trail of Crumbs first and draw off of it. In Giant Opportunity, I don't think the Tree Folk is going to do much. I mean, I could just make it now, in fact, or else I'll be taking 5, 6, and the opponent's going to start clocking us with the Gingerbrute. I do miss out on some sacrifice with the Trail of Crumbs, but I think it's still okay since I have Tempting Witch. Yeah, I think we do it now. Have to make a 7/7 here, otherwise we can't let that 5/5 just keep bullying us, so... I think this is a smart play. Eventually he's going to get his Beanstalker Giant going, so... Could attack with a 7/7, play out Keeper Fables next turn and still take 5. He obviously has a Pump Trick here, but I think I'm going to block. And maybe force a 2-for-1. He could has Insatiable Appetite, sacrifice a Gingerbrute. Yeah, that's what he has. I think that's still fine. It's still card for card. I should eventually have the Troonville Tree Folk to deal with this. Land off the top isn't bad. Keeper of Fables isn't going to do much. But Tempting Witch Trail of Crumbs isn't going to do much either, so I think we just go for this. Just say go. Could have taken 5, I don't know, but I don't know if I could play around the Garenbrig Paladin. I mean, if I get land next turn, I can maybe upgrade my Keeper. I mean, he's going to play out the freaking 7/7 anyways, so... I probably have to be forced to double block in this scenario. I mean, I could just chump the Beanstalker Giant with the Curious Pair and then upgrade my keeper. To block the 5/5. And then eventually I can maybe double block the Beanstalker Giant. Because if I do play out the Tombville Tree Folk, I don't even have my lands yet. What am I talking about? Yeah, I think I need a good blocker against this Garenbrig Paladin. So I think we just enhance this, just say go, and we can chump block the Beanstalker Giant. It's going to be an 8/8, but I need to double block this eventually with some big creatures. He's going all in. I don't agree with this, but that's fine. But I'm still chump blocking the 8/8 if he's doing this. I don't think I want to chump block with the Edgewall Innkeeper. He can make this unblockable, that's fine. Ooh, Festive Funeral. Only 3 creatures in the graveyard, so it's not that amazing. I could Trail of Crumbs and also Tempting Witch and chump block. I think I'll do that. And then next turn I can dig with the food, perhaps. Well, I mean, I could kept the Festive Funeral, actually, so I can give this -3/-3, and then trade for the Keeper. That's actually not bad. So I think I got slightly punished there for what I just did. So maybe I should have kept the Festive Funeral. I guess I can do it next turn if he tries this trick. Yeah, I think I'll do it next turn since this is fueling my graveyard anyways. Could play out the Tree Folk here to make a double block. But I don't mind like sacrificing food end of turn and just getting cards. And I can eventually get a nice 1-for-1 with the Festive Funeral next turn. Hopefully he doesn't have a pump trick. But I'm definitely going to go for it. Okay, he's attacking the Garenbrig Paladin, so that's interesting. So now what? I mean, I guess he saw that I could chump with the Edgewall Innkeeper on the Beanstalk Giant and get a nice trade. But this is decent for me. Now I can kill off the Beanstalk Giant. I should have done this last turn. He only has 1 card in hand, so he's still going to clock me, but I can start digging with the... Okay, Enchanted Carriage is annoying, but I should have 2 blockers up in the meantime. Probably gonna take a hit from now for the Gingerbrew, but I should have enough blockers right now, so this is looking good. I can also have another Festive Funeral if he wants to try something here. I can even make this into a 5/5 if I want to. Well, that's not bad. So do I start getting in with the Tree Folk? I think I do. And then I can just sacrifice food and draw a card. Yeah, I think I do. Could send a Keeper, but the Tree Folk hits a little bit harder. Also wouldn't mind a pump spell here. Yeah, let's do it. I think the pump spell is worth considering just to save our Tree Folk and to start clocking the opponent. Nope, we're not going to sack food. A 9/9 is good enough. Opponent will probably start attacking next turn for lethal. And I should have enough food to stabilize, so I think we're just going to pass here. Sure. Hmm. Could once in future for Admit. What would I get back? Maybe Festive Funeral and like, I don't know, maybe Giant Opportunity. And then make a million food, but I think I should still be okay here. Yeah, I guess Swamp here. Slowly outvalue the opponent. I can even play a 7/7 Giant if I want to. Do I dig first? I think I attack first. Could attack with a Keeper as well. And I can still make a 4/4 or just play a 7/7. I just attack with a 6/6. I think it should be fine. Forcing a chump block. And I'm fine trading this off for carriage, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I could once in future and then also just get back a pump spell at the end of the day. It's actually not bad. And then I can get back Festive Funeral as well. Yeah, it's actually not bad of a play. And we'll get back Insatiable Appetite and Festive Funeral. And this is a fine way to get rid of the Enchanted Carriage and meanwhile still have a fine removal spell that gives a creature -5/-5 at the end of the day, so this is good. Dealing with all the opponent's big threats. And a second Gingerbrute, okay. So we definitely need to start racing here, otherwise he's gonna just kill us with these Gingerbrutes. But I mean, it's gonna take a while for him to do so, so. Yeah, it's gonna take him a long time to kill us. Opponent's definitely playing mono green, which is interesting as well, so. Here, we just play out the land. Do I sack food first? Yeah, let's sack food first. I think I'm fine tapping another forest. Ooh, Skewer isn't bad. Let's take it. Could just play out the Fierce Witchstalker here and play out Skewer. I don't mind that. Could keep up mana for food. I think I'll do that instead. We'll start getting him with these two. But the opponent's constantly losing chump blockers now. We have a good blocker for this Fierce Witchstalker. Do I play out the Skewer? It's much more mana efficient. Yeah, I think we do. Don't think we're... I mean, I guess he could have Insatiable Appetite, I guess. With the Gingerbrute, and he can sacrifice a food. Or the Cauldron, I don't care. I think I don't mind blocking the Fierce Witchstalker, forcing him to use Cauldron. Like, we're not losing this race at all. Guess he could Cauldron my Edgewall Innkeeper. I'm fine with that. It's not the end of the world. Reaper for the final card. Think here, 12. I think we sack food. Yeah, let's Beanstalker first. Put in our swamp. Sacrifice food. Another Gingerbrute seems good here. Yeah, I'll try to force him to use the Skull Cauldron on the Gingerbrute for me to gain life, but here this is looking like a pretty straightforward attack. Yeah, he's just gonna use the Cauldron, that's fine. It's still 2 for 1. I can even play out the land. And do I equip the skewer? Nah, just say go. That's fine. Throw D cards in my deck, so I don't think I'm going to deck out anytime soon. Opponent's flooding out. I dealt with all his big green creatures. Do I sack the Ginger Brute? Yeah, I think I do. Trail Crumb's definitely doing a lot of work in this matchup. Wicked Guardian's looking fine here. Yeah, I think we just attack. Don't think I need equipped. We'll see what happens. I could pump if he has like a removal spell here, or a pump trick. Yeah, just a sacrifice, gain life, sure. Gotta be careful not to deck myself. Yeah, don't think I'm decking myself anytime soon. I could just Reaper him. Yeah, why not? Alright, so, sure. I can just out-muscle here. I guess he can chump block, but I can just use Festive Funeral on the... Yeah, alright. That scoops it up. Right, currently 5-2. I'm going to make a part 2 video, so stay tuned. Hopefully we can get there to 6 or 7, but overall this is a pretty solid deck. So kind of review, well, we'll do on the part 2, so stay tuned.